I came to Buddhism in 1980.
Okay.
And I had given up a teaching job to move in to this centre in the Lake District in England, and I lived there for 13 years. And during that time I did go back into education to teach. So I guess you could say that my first guinea pigs were my students. Yeah.
Okay.
And although I'm a drama teacher, I was soon invited into the religious studies department because of my specialism in Buddhism. So that started a sort of different career for me, and also enabled me to do things like meditation and managing thoughts and emotions with the students. So that's really where I started. So I think that would probably go back to the late 80s.
Right.
1980s,
Right.
early 1990s.
Right. So you taught English before you got into...
I taught drama and English.
And English.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
lovely.
Yes.
Okay. And you've also taught philosophy and ethics.
Well, what happened was the religious studies department, we agreed when I became head of that department that it didn't really reflect what we were doing. And a lot of students were put off by the thought that they were going to be converted into Christianity or something, religious studies. And so we felt that belief, philosophy and ethics kind of gave a fuller flavour of what we were offering. And so we changed it. We just changed the name. And it did catch on a bit. Other schools caught on to it. Not right across the board, but I did notice that some other school is calling it belief, philosophy and ethics. Because religious education and religious studies had a connotation of conversion, really, which was not attractive to the students at all.
Yeah. So this is actually the pilot episode, the first episode of Brave New World. And I wanted to start it with somebody special, somebody who is, I find very wise and also very funny. Because I remember when we were in the Introduction to Buddhism course at Tushita, I was expecting someone who is more serious, more strict in a way, but I think the way you approach Buddhism is a lot more relatable to anyone and everyone, which I really enjoyed.
Good, I'm glad to hear it.
So I wanted to dive into the first question, which is just about what is Buddhism essentially. I know that's a huge topic which we covered over 10 days, but this is going to be a short podcast. So
I get it.
Maybe the origins of Buddhism, what is it essentially for our listeners who don't know?
Well, the origins go back to the Buddha, who was called the Buddha because he became enlightened. Right. He wasn't called the Buddha, at birth. He wasn't given that name. He was a prince, Siddhartha Gautama. Yeah. And then he kind of went through the motions of living a very pampered lifestyle. So really, you could say what most people are looking for, he already had. Yeah, he had wealth, he had skills, he had talents, he had women, he had whatever he wanted. But at a certain point, he was 29 years old by that point, he looked around him and he thought, this is kind of hollow. It wasn't really giving him any meaning. And he went out and saw these sights of old age, sickness and death, which he'd kind of been protected from. That's the story. And even if he wasn't literally protected from them, it hadn't crossed his mind. So I guess at that point in his life, he was searching. Yeah. So you can take the story literally or metaphorically.
Right.
So he left home and he studied for 6 years, including meditating with ascetics, which are quite common, I think, still in India, and found that wasn't really getting him the full answer. So then he went to what's called now Bodh Gaya and sat beneath a Bodhi tree and said, I will not move until I have discovered everything. And that was his enlightenment. And that's really what Buddha means. It means enlightened. So from then on, having convinced people who he came into contact with, who he was then going to teach, he became known as the Buddha and continued to teach for 45 years, yeah? And was it 45? I'm trying to think now. Yes, he was 29.
He died quite early.
And he died when he was 80. So yes, he died when he was 80.
That's my bad.
Yes, he taught for all that time. So, I don't know, 40, 50, 60, 70. Yes. Around that. Yes. Yes, because he had 6 years, didn't he, after he'd left home. Right. So he was 35 when he became enlightened. Right. So then 45 years of teaching. So he spread the word, basically. And the essence is really taught within the Four Noble Truths. That, you know, you can't avoid the fact that there is suffering. Yeah. And that the cause of our suffering, the second noble truth, is that we just want all the time. We're never satisfied, which of course he'd experienced himself. He had everything, but he still wasn't satisfied. And that that there was an opportunity to end the suffering by becoming enlightened, and then he taught the Eightfold Path, which is how to do it, you know. And basically that's a path of ethics. It's a path of not causing suffering to any being as much as you're able, in order to kind of cleanse your mind. But if you talk to teachers these days, I think as well as teaching the Four Noble Truths, they would say that the essence of Buddhism is to stabilize one's mind by recognizing that destructive emotions are afflictions and cause us a lot of problems, and therefore to discourage those and encourage constructive emotions. And that's the basis, really. Any teacher, we've got Geshe Lakdor at Tushita at the moment, and he just keeps coming back to that, because that's the most practical thing that I could help students with at school, which also led me to starting. In the end, I left school and created a secular business where I offered, and at that point mindfulness was becoming well known. So I kind of latched onto that and offered it to law firms, social workers, schools, police, all kinds of people. It became my work, where I was literally teaching the meditation, but also that management of emotions, which, regardless of your belief, you know, whether you believe in an afterlife or not, doesn't matter. And everybody, you know, I taught Muslims, I taught secular people, Christians, and it didn't matter, because that was something which they found completely liberating. That we are not our thoughts, you know, that they come and they go, and we can manage our emotions. And that in itself stabilises the mind. Of course, instead of being so agitated and so kind of at the mercy of our thoughts, and going all over the place and never feeling settled. Once you start doing that and then you're meditating, you find that stability. So that's really the basics, I think. And all the teachings, of which there's said to be 84,000, as well as 84,000 delusions. Yes. Are to do with achieving that. Because once you have destroyed all the afflictive emotions, you can then develop constructive thoughts and emotions into wisdom and compassion, or what we call bodhicitta. And there you go, full enlightenment, like the Buddha. So he was just saying, look, if I can do it, you can do it.
But, okay, follow-up question to that. full enlightenment seems like a very far away, it seems like a dream or a fantasy to most people. The word bodhicitta, it seems very far away from what we are as humans. So how do we bring the Buddhism down to earth? Because I think what you said,
emotions,
you're right,
because you immediately, as with, I would take these organisations and businesses, they would just take me for 3 hours for different groups. So I would just do half a day. You teach them mindfulness, you teach them about thoughts and emotions, a little bit about the ethical consequences, and they're like, wow, why have we never been told this before? It was immediately liberating.
Yeah.
So they didn't know it was Buddhism.
Yeah.
I didn't have to use the word. Yeah.
Right.
But for them, mindfulness was a bridge into giving that philosophy and psychology of Buddhism without letting them think that they were being converted or it was religious or everything that puts people off now.
Yeah.
It puts so many people off.
Right.
So they're not thinking about enlightenment. They're just thinking about going home and cooking dinner and being with the kids and not arguing with your partner.
Exactly.
And if they've got emotion and thought management and they can do a bit of meditation, makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So it's magic.
Yes. That's what I loved about what I learned about Buddhism in the course, was that how practical it is, and how applicable it is, and how analytical it is, because it just gets to the root cause of whatever else is going on. And it's very simple, it's very logical, it's very step by step.
It is.
Anyone can understand it. And I think that's the misconception people have, that it's a religion and that it's this and that. So this was also one of the reasons I wanted to, do this podcast.
I think the development of it in the West is very interesting. You come to Tushita and the imagery is intense. You've got all these golden statues, you've got all this imagery. But once you get into Buddhism, you kind of understand what the place of all that and what it means. But actually you can practice it without any of the religious artifacts.
Right.
And I think the fact that neuroscience is also now involved in looking at the nature of consciousness and how we can develop it, and doing all kinds of scientific experiments and on monks and things to have a look at what's going on in their brain. We're seeing that actually it is what the Buddha taught, which was a science of the mind.
Science of the mind, yeah.
What happened to it is all the cultures where it went turned it into a religion. So the Buddha became often quite externalized for ordinary people. But it's only people who really study it that know that actually you're internalizing. You're internalizing the fact that you can take refuge in your own Buddha nature. Yeah. And everything external is just supporting you. Yeah. It's just a support system, because we're such sensory beings. We need, stuff to look at and do and everything. But actually it's all inside waiting to be developed. So it's very systematic. You follow this, you do the 4 of this, the 8 of this, the 10 of that, the 12 of the other.
So but that, on the other hand of that, there were some of the people in my class.
Right.
There were people who were dissident against how analytical it was, and how, finding it a little cut and dry, and feeling that, or at least thinking that it's opposed to the feeling factor, that, if Buddhism is about detachment and equanimity, then what happens to all my feelings? I want to feel all my feelings. I want the highs, I want the lows. And even a part of me is like that. Yeah. So that is a question I had, that how do we come to terms with that? Or is there even an opposition there? Or is it... something.
Well, I think it's part of the path that you're recognizing what are feelings that are creating the emotions that are disturbing or pleasant. And that's just what, nobody is saying we get rid of the pleasant feelings. We're trying to avoid the afflictions like anger and hatred and jealousy and pride. But if we have equanimity, is actually a very positive feeling. It's not detachment at all.
Okay.
Because you're actually taking into account everybody you meet as being as important as you. So you could say what we're doing and why people get threatened by it is it's not all about me, it's also about others and how we affect others. And so therefore the feelings become much more based in that interdependence of empathy and kindness and sympathy and compassion, loving kindness. Those are very positive feelings. And they're not being denied at all. At all. So I think that's a misunderstanding.
Okay.
But it's a common misunderstanding because our sort of sense of self, this I, me, I, is very threatened by anything that says what I'm feeling and thinking is not important. So then we feel threatened. But the teachings of Buddhism are going, yes, it's important, but what is it that you're thinking? Is it helpful? Is it constructive? Are you going to end up being depressed? Are you going to end up being unhappy or frustrated? And that is a kind of selfishness that comes about. So Buddhism opens up the heart to others and then recognizes that actually when we start to focus more on others than ourselves, then genuine happiness comes. But initially when you hear that, your whole ego identity feels quite threatened, I think. And that's probably where those discussions come from. I want to be me.
I mean, there are attachment.
I want to feel.
The feeling, attachment to the feelings.
Yes. I want to cry. I want to be happy. That's a kind of immediate response. But really, if you look at it, you don't really want to be unhappy.
Right.
Yeah? Sadness, looking at the world, or perhaps somebody you know who's going through trouble and you feel sad for them, or something, you lose somebody and it's sad, then for sure, it's, there's nothing wrong with that. It's important, actually, to grieve and have that sense of loss, but to get caught up in it and indulge in it, and for that to then turn into depression. Then we're going down a whole very negative route. Right. So I think the other thing is that people get high on what they perceive to be happiness, but I think that's often just pleasure. And when the pleasure ends, as Lama Yeshe would say, when the chocolate cake ends, then what? Then you just want more chocolate cake. And that's what the Buddha taught. That desire is always there. We'll never be satisfied, and so therefore we can have the greatest party, like those monkeys out there. There's 3 of them. I wish I could
Lots
take
of monkeys.
a picture of that. Just having, the greatest party, but then at some point it ends, and you have to go home, and be with yourself.
Monkeys at the door.
Yes, my companions.
Do you feed them sometimes?
No.
No, right? That would be overwhelming.
Otherwise they'd be here all the time. No, you've just... In fact, it's a shame really, but you can't befriend them.
Yeah, and there are too many of them as well.
There's too many, and they do bite people.
Yeah.
They do chase them and attack them.
Yeah.
So you mustn't show fear and just go out and not make eye contact with them.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's
so
like a baby
sweet.
monkey, yeah.
Tiny ones.
That's
But no, they're little monkeys, literally.
Right. Yeah, okay. So I also wanted to ask you a little bit about Tantra. Just a little bit, because I know that's a huge topic again.
It is.
So just to touch on it, that, you know, if the causal vehicle, as we call it, right, the traditional path, the traditional path of Buddhism, if it's too analytical and if it is too logic based for somebody, let's say, I remember you saying that for people who have more desires, the path of Tantra can be more helpful, but I'm also aware that there's a lot of pitfalls and dangers. So would you like to speak about that?
The dangers are to not follow the causal path. So that has to be the foundation.
Right, the traditional path has to
Tantra.
Be. Right.
You know, you have to have all the ethics there, the management of thoughts, the stabilization of the mind. You have to have all that
before your
part. But yes, very dangerous if somebody wants to give you Tantra and you don't really know anything about Buddhism. It's not going to. That's when all the pitfalls will happen. Yeah. So it's not an alternative.
Right, it's not an alternative path. And would you even recommend it? Do you know people who follow this path successfully?
I think it's wonderful, but it just depends whether you get the opportunity to take an initiation. You know, whether you have that karma to meet a teacher who offers you an initiation and you think, yes, I would like to do that, and you have some devotion to the teacher. So there's all sorts of karmic things that need to happen before you can enter the path of Tantra. Yes.
Okay.
And one of them would be to really be a practicing Buddhist.
Right.
You know, practicing the causal path, the sutra path.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no shortcuts really.
There's no shortcut. And in Tantra, you are basically identifying yourself with the I'm very abridging it a lot.
Yes.
But like you're identifying with the deity, becoming the deity, becoming the God in a sense, that identifying it with your pure God nature, the bodhicitta nature. But it's not an easy path, because you also said that you have certain, they give you certain rituals to do. You have to do it on time. You have this to do, that to do, and if you fail to do that, then there are consequences. So
yes, I think it's quite a commitment to take on, and you would take it on with the guidance of a teacher. So it is quite a committed path, and I can't remember what you said at the beginning. What did you say at the beginning? Something about yes, but that is what you're doing.
Right.
You're taking the result as your starting point. So you see yourself as a Buddha.
Right.
That you are perfect,
right.
as Lama Yeshe
right.
would say. He's written a wonderful book, which, if anybody's interested, I would recommend an introduction to Tantra by Lama Yeshe. Yes, and he explains it very clearly, and he just says you are perfect already. You just don't recognise it.
Right.
So, of course, for most of us, that's like, what? How do I do that? Because everything about us has a certain aspect of not being quite there yet. Yeah, we're not enlightened. I'm just an ordinary being. I've got desires. So it's all great to hear that, but how do you do that? So the practice of Tantra gives you certain ways of being the Buddha without walking around and dressing up and completely looking and acting like you're kind of bananas, really.
Yeah,
you can't do that. It's more of an inner conversion.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on, I really wanted to touch upon how Buddhism relates to relationships, especially romantic relationships. I think this is a very popular question during our course. Lots of people are interested because it's
no kidding.
Yeah. Because that's the difficulty. Like, as much as we know theoretically that
Yes.
what is the true nature of mind, and that we are all suffering because of all these delusions that we have, because of all this turbulence in our emotional landscape, and yet we have partners who trigger us.
Sure.
And then there is ego grasping, there's projection. So would really love for you to maybe discuss a little bit about how does this grasping and projection work within romantic relationships, plus what are the little steps we can take to reduce the suffering in relationships?
Sure. Well, the teachings on attachment and aversion, which are two of the root delusions, and they basically spring from the main one, which is ignorance. And ignorance is not a lack of knowledge, it's a misconception about the nature of reality, not understanding that we don't exist the way we think we do in this solid, inherent way.
Right.
So what we do naturally is we're attracted to anyone or anything that makes us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we will know in romantic relationships that it's very much rose-coloured spectacles. When we see somebody we like, we just fill them up with everything that we want them to be. We want them to be, yes. And then so it's all lovely, and they want you to be that, because we're kind of trying to satisfy our desires here. There'll be strong sexual desire, which goes mad at the beginning of relationships. So it all seems wonderful.
Right.
But what happens in relationships that further down the line is that reality of life kicks in.
Right.
And also, not only have we got jobs, or somebody might get pregnant, or they don't want a child, or where do you live? He's from Australia and she's from Denmark, all those kind of ordinary obstacles come into account, is that we stop seeing them as fulfilling our desires.
Right.
And when we do that, aversion takes place.
Exactly.
So then you get an exaggeration in the other direction. So instead of exaggerating how wonderful they are, they're then the cause of all your problems.
Yeah.
So the finger's very much pointed outwards.
Right. Yeah.
We're going, you're gorgeous, I want you. Yeah? But now you're not so gorgeous. You've got a bit older, or I've seen, or you snore at night. I've seen what you're really like, and now you are wrong and need to go. Yeah?
Right.
You are the cause of all my problems. But what we're not seeing is that actually it's not really to do with them, because it's unrealistic. Our expectations are totally unrealistic. It's actually our own ignorance feeding the attachment and the aversion. And you often find what happens in relationships is, for instance, people will divorce.
Yeah.
And then a little bit down the line, they'll definitely want somebody else. And then they make all the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same pattern repeats.
The same pattern. It's like a cycle. It's the same pattern, and then they're frustrated, and that one doesn't work either, and then they wish they hadn't left the first one.
Right.
There's total confusion because we're not being satisfied by external sources. Yeah. So I think what can really help in relationships is to know that, for a start. Just know it.
Just knowing that it's about us and not really about them.
Yes, and that they're wonderful, but they're human beings.
Yeah.
To have patience with them, to talk to each other, to recognise that they're never going to be everything we want, and that also we're contributing to the problems in the relationship as well.
Yeah.
Because why broken relationships end up in hatred and divorce, especially where children are concerned, is because we think they've caused all our problems and we hate them for it. And then the children are used as pawns in that game, and then the children suffer.
Right.
Whereas I guess in a Buddhist relationship, an ideal one would be that even if you did end up breaking up, you wouldn't want to cause suffering.
Yeah.
So you'd work at the relationship to be wholesome and healthy for the sake of the child.
Right.
And recognise that you're just as responsible in some way as they are.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And also understanding karma.
Karma.
Yeah, because
how does that
it would
play?
be your karma.
Right.
You know, you're creating karma not to have a good relationship in the future, and also you're experiencing the results of karma that you've created before, and that the breakup is happening. So, you know, that also helps you kind of think, well, I must have cheated on somebody in a past life for him to be cheating on me now. Yeah?
But what about somebody who doesn't believe in past lives? And
well, then
how
that's
does
the
karma?
problem. Well, you know, I mean, karma really helps you kind of go, wow, you know, look what's happening to me. I can't understand this in any other reasonable way other than what did I do to deserve this. And that is one of the principal things in Buddhism, is that karma isn't punishment. We're just creating the causes for results to happen. Maybe even in this life, but definitely in the next life. And if you don't believe in future lives, then I think, you know, everybody wants a successful relationship. So to listen more, to be patient, to not have such huge expectations.
Yeah,
from
these
the
are
other
very
person.
reasonable and
These are
easy
very reasonable.
Not so easy to practice, but
No.
still, I think,
Yes.
easy to understand at least.
And know what you're getting into, that
Yeah.
when you fall in love, that doesn't
It's not going to be
forever.
perfect.
You know,
It's
it's a
not
preliminary stage of the relationship.
right.
And then understanding things like equanimity, it's like seeing that, well, you know, I mean, the example I gave, you know, that I was married to somebody, I slept with him for 11 years, and 10 years later we met, neither of us recognised each other. We didn't even recognise each other.
Okay.
So somebody who you've been really close to becomes a stranger. So people don't stay the same.
Yeah, change is
A change.
inevitable.
And that, again, is one of the teachings in Buddhism. Impermanence, everything's changing.
Yes.
And people are changing. So again, in a relationship, if you can support people's change instead of resent their change.
Or like controlling them,
And
holding them
controlling,
back.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's a common thing that happens in relationships.
Exactly, yes. Trying to make them be what you want them to be. Yeah?
Yeah, it's a tough one though.
Yes, it is.
It requires our constant awareness and...
Yes, yes. But so in that way, a relationship can be a fantastic tool for learning self-awareness and for development.
Right.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
You know, family life is just a wonderful opportunity for practice.
Yeah. Okay.
Possibly, you know, harder than being a
Yeah.
monk or a nun.
Yeah. That's probably why people become monks and nuns, because they're sick and tired of all the other things that are going on.
Well,
You want some peace?
I guess you would call that renunciation. They've recognised that those things that are held out to us as being the cause for happiness is actually untrue.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's fleeting and short
It's
term.
fleeting and short, and even if you have a great life with them, you'll die.
Yeah.
And they'll die.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Could you speak a little bit about Buddhism and death? Like, what is the Buddhist view on death and dying? That I think is important. And
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because of the belief in rebirth, then the Buddhist attitude to death is that it's a very important part of life, as important as birth. Yeah. So it's not something to be forgotten about. So we remember it, recall it regularly, that death can happen at any time. Yeah? Lama Zopa would say, we don't know what will come first, our next breath or our next life. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that is not to be morbid, but to really value the life that we have and use it wisely. Not just fritter it away and,
right.
you know, and then you're 75 or whatever and you think, what have I done with my life? So in that way, it's an important concept,
right,
to remember. And then the actual understanding of the death process is very much explained in detail. And of course, what you have within Buddhism, because people have developed their minds over many lives, they have awareness. So they have been able to recount the death process, including what the Buddha taught. Yeah. And basically what happens at death is the elements, it's what we call the dissolution of the elements.
The five elements?
Yes, the earth, fire, water, air, space, I think that.
Yeah.
This one, earth?
Earth, fire, water, air, space.
Yes, that's it. So as they dissolve within us in the dying process, which might be very quick, like if you're in a car crash, or it might be quite slow as you're peacefully passing away in your bed, if you're lucky, then all your senses shut down as well, and your awareness of the external world. And then what happens is that if you can practice this and you have that awareness of death, there are certain visions or signs. But most people won't notice that. And what happens is that the coarse mind sort of, with the brain, kind of shuts down, and then we experience what's called the subtle mind, and then the very subtle mind, which then at the point of death, when there is no more breathing and the heart has stopped, that leaves the body. And that leaves the body and goes into what is called the Bardo.
The Bardo.
In Tibetan, the intermediate state. And there's a process of existing in that intermediate state just as consciousness, which might take form as spirit or whatever, which can go through walls. Nothing stops it, space or time. It just goes wherever the thought takes it, and you can live for up to 49 days in that time. It's kind of like a natural law.
It's like a natural
law,
right?
Yeah. In the same way that we would say, your average person lives for about 100 years. So it's kind of seen as that, and you can have these small deaths every 7 days, like like with the week. So it seems to tie in very strongly with our own understanding of mathematical laws. Like 7 days in a week, and anyway, after 49 days, you definitely take rebirth in your next form. And so at the conception, where the sperm and the egg come together in the future mother, the consciousness comes in, which is very similar to how Christians, maybe Hindus, would say is the start of a life, is when they would say the soul comes in. So whatever you understand about that, we would call it consciousness, because it's developing, and it's not it's not a permanent aspect of ourselves. Right. It's a development. And then you take birth in your mother's womb, and that might be in an animal or another human being, or
yeah. But is death seen as something to be mourned? That's the other part I wanted to.
Well, I think people, naturally feel the loss of somebody who dies, but yes, when I teach, I often use the example of this Theravada monk who said, I don't know why people, are all jubilant when a child is born. They come in crying, and they've got to live through this samsara. Yes. Well, they should be, and then when people die, they cry. They should be jubilant because they finished all this suffering. But of course, we don't then know where they're going. It's likely to be more suffering. So, so I think we're human beings. If somebody we love dies, then we cry and we mourn them. Right. But I think because you have a Buddhist background, you're not going to. It's less likely that you'll get stuck in the past and mourn so much that becomes depression.
Exactly. Yeah, that happens often.
Yes, because often. Buddhists tend to let go more. This is part of life, and who knows, we might meet them in a future life, and let them go. Don't cling on to them. The acceptance. Because also that creates an unhealthy spirit. Who is just hanging around because you're so upset about it. Just let them go.
Exactly.
Yeah? So I think in that respect, it's healthy.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not devoid of, sadness, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a very balanced approach.
Yes.
Where you're feeling what you're feeling and you're giving yourself time to grieve, but you're also accepting the change and the transformation and the natural process that it is.
But of course, it depends. If somebody loses a child, it's going to take them a whole life.
It's going to take time,
to get over that. But hopefully, somehow, the teachings on impermanence and karma and rebirth will help them sort of have a bit of a healthier attitude.
Right.
But there's some terrible tragedies, and
right.
They're all to be mourned, for sure.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so next question is a little bit about the modern day spiritualism, like how spiritualism is getting developed, or how it is being shown, especially in social media, mainly in social media, television. So there's a lot of branding, there's a lot of identification, there's a lot of images. It's like an image-based culture that we live in presently, right? So what we discussed in the course at one point, I think I asked you this question about spiritual materialism.
Spiritual materialism, yes.
Where the identification is a lot to do with the image and with the consumer side of spirituality, and less like we forget the core and the essence of it, and then we start focusing on the externals of it, so it becomes like a bit of a sham, or starts becoming inauthentic.
Part of our ego identity.
Exactly, ego identity. So I just feel that currently it's quite common, and even in Dharamkot we see examples of this happening, in and around Dharamkot.
Sure.
I would say Tushita is kind of away from all of that, but then if you see the rest of Dharamkot, definitely there's a lot of mixed energies.
Sure.
So just wanted to know from you that what are certain ways to keep our spiritual practice and our the vocational service pure, but we're also receiving the value for our energy, for our transmissions, for whatever we are offering spiritually, but to keep it pure and clean and not get too muddled up in the whole game of it.
Yes, well, I think it's you've touched on something that is very common, and I would give perhaps yoga as an example, because that's what I know about.
That's the biggest example, I guess.
So I think yoga has been promoted as something that really makes you look good. And also it manages stress, and it's fashionable, and you can get all the gear, and you can look the part, and you join classes where there are similar people, and you can talk, you know, feeling, I feel so spiritual and balanced, but there's not really an awareness of the management again of the ego, So I think it's really about that. So people who genuinely know yoga, who are genuine teachers, teach from that. They know that it's not just an exercise technique. It's not. I mean, for sure, you will be very flexible, be wonderful, but that's not the point. You're balancing the energies in your body, and people who take that on as a discipline, you know, what they're doing is they're recognizing that the physical way of managing, it's like Tantra. You know, yoga is a form of physical Tantra, where you're balancing the energies in your body and you're aware of the chakras. So it's a very serious practice. But at the other extreme, it also can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it can be entered into for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. The looking good part of it.
The looking good part.
Cells, you know, like you have the body and
stress
the
release.
Right.
You know, I'm just using it to manage my stress because I have such a high-powered job, and I've got the children and everything to cope with, and it helps me, you know, calm down. And so that's a shame, because it's missing really, you know, the essence of what yoga can offer you. And I think it's the same with anything else, that if you get into it because it's the thing to do, and you want to be seen to be doing it, and you wear all the gear, and you get all the, I don't know, incense, candles, whatever, and it that is spiritual materialism,
right?
Where you're using you want to be spiritual, but actually you're not putting in the effort that is required, because all spiritual paths are disciplines, and the discipline that is required to manage one's ego is the spiritual path. That literally is the spiritual path, managing one's ego. Because once you start to look at thoughts and emotions, you recognize they're all coming out of this ego grasping that we have, this feeling that we want to be something, and we're constantly looking for, who is it I want to be? I want to be spiritual. That doesn't mean to say you are following a spiritual path.
Okay. Makes sense. So I wanted to know a little bit about, I have read a little on your website, but I think if you could tell our listeners a little bit about how you got into Buddhism, what attracted you towards Buddhism in your life, what made you get into it?
Well, I think it was classic, really. I just sort of tried many things, relationships and, you know, jobs, and that I'd always had, I think, for a long, long time, this sense of there's something out there and I haven't got it.
Okay.
I don't know about it. I need to find it. What is it? And so everything I did was just, you know, I had friendships, and I guess you could say a full life. I went to Greek islands for my holidays, you know, but there was always this something. So when I heard about this place where there were Tibetan Lamas, I mean, we're talking about 1979, 80 now, so it was very new.
Right.
And it wasn't that far from where I lived. It just, somebody said they'd been there and they'd done a retreat. And when they said the word retreat, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that word really kind of made me fascinated.
Okay.
And interested. What is a retreat? Yeah. So then they were running courses, and I went on a 3-week course with an amazing Tibetan teacher called Geshe Jumpa Tekchok, who's since passed away. And at the end of it, that was it.
Okay.
I was brainwashed, literally.
Mm-hmm.
So I went home and sold the house and gave my notice in, and 3 months later moved in.
Yeah.
And lived there for 13 years. Yeah.
For 13 years.
For 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah. In the institute. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really, that was and when I was there, this whole sense of looking for something, I immediately felt like I was in the centre of the universe. This was where it was happening.
Right.
This was where it was happening for me. I found it.
The resonance
found
was
something that had been missing.
Right.
And everything that
amazing clicked.
Yeshe said was like, I was going, this is what I've always thought. It was like a very strong connection. Very strong connection. Yeah.
Okay. So
quite dramatic, really.
But like romantic in a
dramatic.
Okay, I thought you said
not
romantic. It's like
dramatic. Like a dramatic.
Yeah, it's like a big change all of a sudden.
Yes, massive change in my life. Massive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. To give up to sell your
Yeah,
house and give up
it's
your
a
job
lot.
and move into this hippie community, where nobody had anything, was a massive change.
Yeah. But
Not
you loved
everybody has to do it that way.
Yeah. No, I wanted you to speak a little bit because I know that the story is quite interesting. You know, so
Yes.
yeah. Okay. So coming to the next question would be that. The world around us can oftentimes actually be harsh, insensitive, complex, because when you're in a retreat,
it's a tough world.
It's a tough world, and like when we're in a retreat space, you're meditating in a quiet space, and the food, everything is disciplined and structured, and there's someone teaching you, telling you what to do.
Yeah,
it's much more simple.
Sure,
but then.
You go home.
How do we and all the same triggers, the same projections, the same patterns crop up, and also I wanted to know that I am convinced, like I want to be a Buddhist now,
right?
Okay,
yes.
Let's say I want to be a Buddhist and I'm stepping out there. How do I deal with all these complexities and the just the grossness of the world, in a way, like I know it's a big one again, but the peer pressure of all your friends wanting to drink and smoke, and you're like, I don't really want to do that anymore, or I just want to do it more mindfully, or these conversations are not clicking with me anymore because we're just talking about people. That.
Oh, well, you have to make choices if you go down that route. Is to recognize who are meaningful friends who are going to support you and respect what you're doing, and who are the ones that are going to encourage you to just into more suffering. I think that's a very useful way of looking at it. Is just going, well, if I go down this route, which I'm trying not to, I know that it's just going to lead to more suffering. So you have to be selective. You have to be gentle,
selective,
but also very clear about who's a good influence and who's not. And of course, that's part of becoming a Buddhist, is taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So Sangha, all these people who've done the course, who understand where you're at. So, have the right people around you, and for sure there'll be lots and lots of challenges. But if you've got that refuge, then which is where we take refuge, then that's your guide.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is going to be the last question, because actually I have a lot more questions, but our time is running out. Yeah. So this one is a little bit about your book. Spiritual Rebellion, Mindfulness with Attitude. Yes. So it's a spunky title. So tell us a little bit about your book and what inspired you to write it? Is it your philosophy along with the teachings of Buddhism? What exactly is it about? And
well, it came out of all the work that I've been doing in the secular sector. So I recognised that you could teach what we would call the stages of the path to enlightenment, but without really pushing it as religion. So there are certain things like karma I've mentioned and rebirth, but I even look at that within the book because it's part of our. It's about following a spiritual path without having to adhere to any religion, but enrich your lives by being inspired by teachings from a variety of religions. But I make no bones about it that my main background is Buddhism. And I suggest, for instance, something like death. Do you think that we are just walking meat, and at the end of the life, that's it? You know, in which case you need to find a reason why you're making your life meaningful. And it might be because you want to leave the world, you want to leave a better place for younger people to grow up in, which is a humanist idea. That's what they believe. You know, they act very ethically in order to leave the world in a better place for others.
Future generations.
Yes, so that's fine. That's fine. So think about, you know, and also look at things like near-death experiences and some of the evidence around rebirth. Just be very clear in your mind why you are living a spiritual life, and so therefore adopt or be clear on why you are adopting certain ideas, because a lot of the problem with people who think they're spiritual or they want to be spiritual is they don't know what to do. So you're giving the book, I hope, outlines, you know, each chapter is looking at ways in which you can, you know, why be good? Or what's the point of being good? And so how do you be good? You know, Jesus taught, you know, love your neighbour. How do you love your neighbour when they're keeping you awake all night with their music? So it's looking practically at how you kind of take on the spiritual advice of the great teachers, and be authentic to yourself. And you might find a religion, but you might not, and that doesn't matter, because you're still acting in a very ethical way, and recognising that you're just one of, 8 billion people, and how to live harmoniously with them. So the basis of the book just came out of all the work I'd done with all these people I've mentioned before, and social services and law firms. They were two big areas that I worked in and went all over the place. There's schools as well, and kind of put it together. And then out of the book, I've created an 8-week course where people use the book as a text, and we look at each section together each week, and then they go away and just read the next part, and then they come prepared to do that. So I am creating courses out of it, which are aimed not at Buddhists. And the people who are really enjoying it are people who are like, I've always wondered what I was, or I didn't know how to do this, and it's all becoming very clear. And I explained to them, well, actually a lot of this is Buddhist teachings, but you're not having to think about deities, about prayer, about mantras, about any of the cultural, if you like, additions to Buddhism, which are all wonderful and have their purpose, but can put people off. So that was the purpose of the book, and I wrote it during COVID. You know, it was just like, okay, I'm going to do this now, and out of that has come courses which I hope will continue to thrive.
Wonderful. So you have a website, it's ondywillson.com.
ondywillson.com, and you can buy the book on that. And I sign it for you, but of course from India it's a lot of postage, so you can also get it through Amazon. Yeah.
So guys, you're listening, you can get the book on Amazon.
Yes.
And you can also visit Ondy's website for her courses, for her meditation.
Yes.
There's a blog, and it's Ondy Willson with 2 L's in the Wilson. So thank you so much, Ondy.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
I like nothing more than talking about myself.
Who doesn't? Buddhism. Who doesn't?
And the monkeys, yes.
Yeah, whatever background voices.
Nice questions. I like them.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope they'll be useful to people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.